let us all do we can to build a better future. First and foremost, we here at Heartlands Media believe in free speech. We believe in independent media. And this is a story that we're all too familiar with, and it's becoming continuous, and it's impacting a lot of content creators, especially those who cover journalism and, again, free speech. So joining us now is Niko House, good friend of the show. He helped us way back in March of 2021, and very similar as well as in March of 2020.
He was also very helpful for us. He was the first person that reached out to us when we started the channel.
Way back in 2017 when we were out there in the streets and on radio as well. He's one of the few people, just like Jimmy Dore and Fiorella and Craig, who said, get onto YouTube, guys. Like the radio, get onto YouTube, though. Get onto the internet. And
probably, it was, in retrospect, good decision.
It was. But see, the sad fact is that YouTube is now in this super fast rush, especially after January 6th. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they're in a super fast rush to silence progressives and those who are speaking truth to power. And I believe it was last week, Niko House did a live stream in regards to how YouTube has not only impacted his channel, but all the other channels that are part of the Mi Casa network. So with that being said, let's introduce our guest, Niko House, the host and founder of Mi Casa. Niko, thank you so much for joining us here live on our show. I must apologize. For some reason, we cannot hear you on our end.
We just have to unmute.
That's me.
There we go. That's it.
I didn't mute it, but somebody
There we
muted
go.
it.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm here. I'm alive. What's going on, guys?
So let's rewind and say and let's hear what you were saying again.
I was saying, in hindsight, I'm glad you guys actually got on the internet. I told y'all y'all had a lot of valuable stuff to say, and a lot of people want to listen. And look at where y'all at now, man. It's dope. It's dope. I'm glad to see that y'all have been so successful.
So I think it's only fair right now to start from the beginning. I do want to pull up that Twitter account, but let's have that ready just in a little bit. So let's start from the beginning. Niko, you have mentioned how, again, YouTube has continued to have your channel and all your subsequent other channels that are part of the Mi Casa network demonetized. And again, this is impacting you guys specifically as content creators because, let's face it, you, as well as Fiorella and numerous other people, especially part of Slow News Day, Convo Couch, have been out in the field covering protests, covering city councils. Fiorella went to Peru, of all places. I was very impressed with her work there. Let's start from the beginning. When did this happen to your channel and your interaction with YouTube? So let's start from there.
The very, very beginning or the demonetization?
Let's do both.
Let's do both. Why not both?
So, I don't know if you all recall, but I was a surrogate for Tulsi Gabbard in 2020. I was at an event in San Francisco, and somebody from YouTube actually went to the event to find me, Pasta, Fiorella, and Johnny. The reason why was because they wanted to warn me that they were actually going to flip the algorithm on its head and censor all political channels, all independent political channels, specifically because of us, because we were gaining tens of thousands of subscribers and millions. We had 8 million or 6 or 7 million views in the course of like 4 weeks or something like that. It was insane. We had never experienced anything like it. And apparently it was not a common thing on YouTube either. And the reason we got those views is because, one, we were the only ones at the time that were willing to aggressively cover Kamala. We can go into a lot of reasons as to why that may be, but that was the case at that time. And then we were also one of the only ones who were giving proper credit to Tulsi. And so people were just a combination of people first time hearing us, people from different demographics who had previously not been paying attention to politics, et cetera, et cetera. And that was a problem for the establishment because obviously once you hit a certain wave of the algorithm, then other people kind of see what you're doing. And I'm like, oh, wow, that is an important story. Didn't know so many people care about it. Then they cover it too. And then, of course, that could be bad for the establishment. And so he warned me it was going to be flipped on its head. And as I'm sure you know, and a lot of people already know by now, it did get flipped on its head 2 weeks later. That's whenever your videos around February or March, no, about March or April of 2019, they started, whenever you watch the Heartlands Media video, after you finish, it's supposed to go to somebody like myself, Jimmy Dore, Convo Couch. Now it just goes to Fox News, MSNBC, or maybe TYT, right? That's effectively what happened. So that was our very first sign that clearly YouTube was going to go into full fascism mode. That's effectively what it is. And because they were doing so, as we probably figured out by now, on behalf of the establishment, on behalf of their corporate sponsors, and on behalf of Google, who owns them. So we still trucked on, we still did our thing, and we did take that time $20,000 hit because of that switch. And people came through, luckily, through Patreon and on Patreon and through Rockfin. So as we were still finding a lot of success and then funneling the success we did have on YouTube into Rockfin, clearly that was problematic because February 2021, yeah, roughly, that's when we all got demonetized, February 18th. Now, if you all recall, I'm sure you all do, this is around the time that the Ray token hit like $3 or $4 a token. And it was actually, they had a lot of discussion about it. And that's when Jimmy Dore came on to Rockfin. A lot of popular channels started coming on Rockfin and people were promoting it. And we were finding a lot of success on Rockfin. And just simultaneously and coincidentally, I got an email, Fiorella got an email, Fiorella Impasta, Franco got an email, Kim Iverson got an email, Jamarl Thomas got an email, all at the exact same time of the day, on the same day, telling us they were going to be demonetizing us. And no explanation as to why. And then they said you can reapply in a month. I waited about 2 months, combo couch, or I waited 3 months. They waited about 2 months. We applied, we reapplied. They've been in limbo for 3 months, no response. And I've been in limbo for 2 months, no response. And Franco hasn't even tried because he's like looking at us like, oh, whatever. So, and obviously, as people know, if you're not monetized, you actually get harmed in the algorithm. And then either way, they can still show ads on your video. And the whole reason they say that they're demonetizing you is because that it might not be friendly to advertisers, but it's friendly to some advertiser because they're still monetizing us, but we're just not getting any of the money.
My goodness. So now let's fast forward to right now where, again, you actually did a live stream and you even mentioned during that live stream that at the end you would post a Twitter thread of how exactly YouTube has hit you face. If we can we kindly put up that tweet so I can at least be able to read it properly. So first, let's actually cover this right here. This is from your Twitter account. Most of our channels on the Mikasa Casa network, that's including your channel, Convo Couch, Frank Analysis, and so many others, including myself, have been arbitrarily demonetized. Not only did YouTube creators not provide an explanation, but when we went to reapply, they've kept some of us in limbo for over 3 months. Please retweet this to get their attention to fix this now. I do ask our audience to please help and contribute. Let's scroll down as well. I want to read the next tweet if we can. Again, in 2020, we were allowed to make almost $15K, which again is phenomenal for any content creator, in revenue through YouTube creators. That hashtag has been reduced now to $0. Imagine waking up one day and losing most of your salary while someone else gets to take all the money from your hard work.
But I want to just add on to that with the YouTube game. It's not just about that. The viewership on YouTube is the largest of any platform. So getting viewers on your platform, if you're not getting new viewers because you've been demonetized and the algorithm doesn't care about you because you're no longer making money from YouTube, the thing the algorithm cares the most about is watch time and the ability to make money. So if you can't do that, it doesn't want to give it to you. If you, for example, with Niko, you're bringing people over to Rockfin as a lifeboat to keep everything going. If you don't have new people that are coming in to watch your show, like that's very much where we're at with Hard Lens Media, and we've been trying a lot of different ways to really quickly, like we're underwater, we're just peeking our head above water enough to get one breath. No one, if you don't know Hard Lens Media exists, if you don't know Mikasa Sukasa exists, you won't find it.
Yeah,
that's facts.
Yeah. So
I had a program that actually would tell me where I'm supposed to appear in any given video in the algorithm based off the title, description, the tags. And I distinctly remember doing it where I was supposed to be the number 2 for a search term. And when I actually went to go search it, I was nowhere to be found. And then I was like, that's weird. Let me try another video. Nowhere to be found. I was like, well, that's weird. Let me try one for Jimmy's channel. Nowhere to be found. I would look up Tulsi's channel. There is 50 videos, maybe even more than that at this point, of Tulsi from mainstream media before you can even get to Tulsi Gabbard's channel and she was a presidential candidate.
Yes, and actually to be very clear, just to remind everyone that, again, during 2 separate events when Tulsi Gabbard was actually speaking at the presidential debates when she was allowed to speak, Google actually removed her name from a search term because that's also, I think, when she infamously took down Kamala Harris.
This is happening because Joe Biden and Kamala made an arrangement with Google. and they made them with all the other social media. They had a very antagonistic relationship with Trump. Ironically, it was more open for us. And then when they got in, they're like, make all this stuff go away. And, of course, we're the people that pay the consequence of this. And the saddest thing is, because we are news and we do commentary, that's our thing, the very thing that we try and do and speak truth to power is just diminished on every single front. Its ability to be maintained, from funding to the ability to bring new people in, to the being, it's taken. Ironically, like, we started another channel, an entertainment channel, less than a year ago. It already has more lifetime views than Hardlands Media. It has over 9 million views. It is making 2.5 times what Hardlands is doing. No.
No, we're being very serious here.
What is this channel called? How have I never heard of it?
Chicago Reacts. We find cool Chicago people and have them watch videos.
Holy shit. Y'all have caught up to yourselves.
Basically, almost.
What the hell?
10-month-old channel.
10 months old. It's a little baby.
It turns out that doing what we do makes us really good at understanding YouTube. So I think every other channel type is easy mode.
Real quick, though, I want to read your last tweet on here. And again, I urge everyone to, I posted that link in the show notes so everyone could see Niko House's tweet about what happened to him. And again, for me, this hits home because it wasn't too long ago where all of our channels were growing successfully. And I'm all for free speech. I'm all for a meritocracy. I'm all for channels to grow successfully. This tweet right here hits home because, again, to everyone watching, I do want there to be more people to get involved. I want more people like Sabrina and Nick from Fred Hampton Leftist and so many others nationwide to do what we're all doing. We need more citizen journalists. So let's read this right here. 15K might not seem like a lot to some of you, but that's down from the 30K we were allowed to make on YouTube the year before, which seems like an attempt to make us soft censor ourselves or go broke until we can't afford to do this anymore. They're openly stealing from us. I want to get your thoughts on this, Niko, and I want you to explain to our audience how this has drastically impacted all of you guys to cover news, speak truth to power, and maintain this. Because, again, what YouTube is doing is unfair, and I urge our audience to please retweet this and call out Team YouTube to remonetize the entire Mikasa Casa network.
I also want to just add in before Niko responds that, like, both of us have own networks that we operate that do different things. Like, we have Hardlands, we're growing Chicago Corner, which is our Chicago-based channel. We have Chicago Reacts, which is basically paying for everything at this point, or most everything at this point. And we have other channels. We're actually starting other entertainment channels just because we're like, oh, this works really well. Let's just, it's the craziest thing that we're
at. You gotta game that algorithm, man. You gotta game that algorithm.
All right, but let's get your commentary on how this is impacting and what you guys are trying to do right now so that you can maintain
and maintaining the network. That's what I was trying to get at. Because it's like once you get connected like you are, and you've all these, it gets way more complicated because you have to help everyone.
Did our question go through? Niko?
Oh, I thought you said you were gonna read the last tweet.
No,
you want me to respond to that?
Yeah. I wanted to read 3 of your tweets on that Twitter thread. So I want you to respond.
So, if anybody knows how I got started as an activist and an organizer, and my journalism is simply just another extension of my activism and what I've learned and my experiences from that. And if anybody knows Fiorella Imposter or knows they act like they live in the streets, you would almost think they don't have a home. If you didn't see them on the couch, you would probably think they do live in the streets. You talk about Robbie, who doesn't get out as much because he works like 2 jobs, and we're trying to reconcile that. But, YouTube kind of killed that temporarily. But Robbie is the one who breaks most of the political financial corruption news. And a lot of you all will never know because we can't get Robbie into the position that we need him to be in, where he gets the proper credit he deserves. So there are a lot of journalists that you may like that actually steal Robbie's stuff. I'm not going to call anybody by name, but it happens often. Like, it's not just a one-person thing. But because we can't get him in front of the right people, it's damaging. We have people like Glory, who is graduating from college soon. I'm sure wants to transition into doing this full time. And Steve takes care of her and Allie, because they're on Slow News Day. But they have a producer too, and Steve is trying to create a co-op in California, and so that people don't have to worry about stuff like this. But they're getting demonetized constantly, so they didn't get fully demonetized. But I mean, the first time they get a green is like literally 2 months ago or something like that, and they haven't gotten another one since. But green is just like you're fully monetized for everybody who doesn't know the YouTube lingo. But one of the things that we had planned is going to other countries, because everybody knows like foreign policy is our wheelhouse. That's what we talk about it constantly. Can't do that. One of the things that me and Pasta wanted to do, because everybody, Cuba's a big conversation right now. We wanted to go to Cuba and interview election officials and how the native citizens feel about their elections, since it's always referred to as a dictatorship or a regime. Obviously, that's a little bit more difficult right now, because it wouldn't just be me and Pasta. It wouldn't just be us with like cell phones. We would bring our equipment, and it would be probably a 2 or 3 week thing in the middle of one of their elections. And that becomes a lot more difficult, right? And we're not the only ones. Our team loves being on the ground every chance they can get. And that's become very difficult because the YouTube money was supposed to subsidize a lot of that stuff for us. A lot of us didn't rely on it, but in addition to our rock, that's a big difference, right? It's like, okay, if you're not relying on it, that's one thing. But if it's taken away completely, now you have to dip into the money you are relying on. And these people have families, they have homes to take care of, and they have lives to live. And so you have to take that into account as well. In addition to that, we were actually starting a grant called the Suzanne Murphy Grant, where we were going to be giving $1,000 like prize to any of the new up and coming journalists every 3 months for a year, to help some of these people get either they say the equipment they like and we get that for them, or we give them $1,000 and they can build their own studio. And that had to be halted because we kept taking more and more hits, and then eventually we're demonetized. And we didn't know, we don't know, hell, we could get banned off of PayPal like Last American Vagabond, Ryan Christian and Whitney Webb did. We could get banned off of Patreon like Whitney did. We don't know at this point. And until we build up Rockfin to a point where we can kind of subsidize what we've lost, then we can't do what we need to do at our fullest capacity. And that is damaging to the movement and therefore damaging to what we're trying to achieve. And it sucks. It's heartbreaking, man, because we had a lot of people that we were looking at, we were trying to help support. There are a lot of places we were trying to go. And that was halted, and we weren't even given a reason as to why. And so with us, everything is about the movement. And whenever we can do our job, respectively for the movement to prevail, that we take all that really personally.
Yeah, and so I just think it's really important to reiterate what you said on we're so reliant on YouTube, and I know, at least from our side, and I know from you guys as well, that we're very quickly trying to diversify away from political YouTube income, I'll call it, because it turns out it's really easy to do it if you were doing entertainment. But if you're on just political, you have to fund other sources into making that work. So like, I know you guys have your network, you're expanding, you're trying to do all these wonderful things you're talking about. Like, I would love to see coverage of you guys going to Cuba, but I can imagine if you want to have like a crew of just 2 people, if you want to keep it really small, just have like Craig and Furiel, just go there. That's still like a $4,000 or $5,000 expense if they're going for a week or two, and they're not going to be in studio making normal content. So if you don't have those reserves and you don't have a way for that content,
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
I'm glad because it's like not just going to Cuba; it's the fact that we're not going to be because like the internet in Cuba is not as good, so we're not going to be able to live stream while we're out there. We're going to be able to record like our regular show. We're not going to be able to keep up with the regular news. So you're losing 2 weeks worth of income as well. In our case, which is usually worth it because we're like, we'll just go get the story. That's more important.
And then you have to edit that. They're just like the amount of time, like doing what we're doing right now, sitting in our studios talking about the news, is really kind of the only thing we're sort of allowed financially to do. Because, like for us, what do we have to do? We have to have an internet connection. We have to have a roof over our heads. As long as we're able to sustain that in ourselves, it's okay. But I mean, it's just like you've had the same thing. It's like when we got shadow banned last year, it just shut our entire timeline down for 6 whole months, and it was just a level of, do we make $100 this month or do we lose $100 this month? We can't spend money on anything. We can't do any growth. We can't bring any more people. Can't do any more shows.
Mm-hmm. And we got shut down. We got demonetized right as we expanded, which makes it even worse.
Yeah. So I want to ask this question and get your thoughts on it, because this is my own personal opinion on it. But obviously, we need to look at different platforms. And Odyssey and Rockfin, in my viewpoint, look like seedlings
They're-
that could have potential.
They're seedlings. The current issue with them, though, is because they aren't as big as YouTube, ironically, because there's still a place on YouTube as hard as it is to operate in. So people don't go. Like when we had that, when everyone got demonetized back a year, that's when Rockfin really picked up and had more people than ever subscribing to it and paying for $10 a month to use it. But even like with Odyssey, which we're also very happy to be on as well, we're talking like 20 million viewers on that entire platform. Rockfin is far less than that. So those ecosystems need to be. So as much as they're great, freer places for us to go, they can't make an income like YouTube can.
But I want to get your thoughts on these two alternative platforms and what their
I do have to
potential
say
could be.
I'm partial towards Rockfin. Odyssey is great too, but I'm partial towards Rockfin. And I would say that a lot of what you said did kind of negatively affect Rockfin, except I feel like are more business minded, and therefore there is a lot. I say that Rockfin has probably had more success than Odyssey has financially, because I mean, the library token has never been more than 25 cents. I mean,
around that.
Rockfin's token literally ended up at the $5 mark at one point. It was hovering between $3 and $5 for 3 months. It was a great 3 months, but it was because of the business side on both their token and how they were running the platform. And the only reason it dropped actually was because Ethereum took that big dip from like 8,000 down to like 2,000 and 3,000. So it wasn't even really necessarily because of Ray token itself. But as Ethereum is beginning to climb back up, so has Ray token. We've also seen, for those of you who don't follow me on Rockfin, we just hit, my channel alone hit 22,000 followers.
Congratulations, by the way.
Huh?
Congratulations, by the way, on getting that
very
number.
much. Convo Couch, 21,000. Franco from Frank Analysis is at about 9,000. Slow News Day, 12,000. Facts on the Ground, 8,000 or 9,000. So Facts on the Ground is almost quadrupled their following on YouTube, on Rockfin. Franco's more than doubled it. We are halfway. We're going to end up passing our YouTube channel on Rockfin in the next 3 months. I guarantee it. Because we've gotten 2,000 followers a week for the last 3 weeks on Rockfin.
Now,
and they use sponsored posts way more effectively than a lot of the alternative platforms. And that's brought in just the right people who want to watch content and become premium subscribers. And that has been very, very beneficial for us. And everybody who's kind of bought into that has definitely found a lot of success there.
All right. Now, again, because again, from my perspective, I do think there is potential for Odyssey and Rockfin, but I think there's more time for them to grow. But I do want to acknowledge our viewing audience because I know Roger Meadows and a few other people wanted to ask you some questions as well. So, Faith,
let's really quickly jump through the YouTube chats first. And if we have any Streamlabs, let's hit those as well.
I don't think we do.
And by the way, this is Niko. I love the new normal where it's like, hey, we got super chats. Hey, from this site. How about this site? How about this site? How about this site?
Well, okay. Well, first. Okay. So if we want to talk about YouTube super chats, we got one from Newcomb, $5 Canadian, who basically says, F the middle-aged McCarthyist, but actually he put down FTYT, but middle-aged McCarthyist, so there we go.
We're vanguarding that chat.
I just That's
funny.
Oh, I gotta be professional. Okay.
I know a lot of TYT jokes from the fans have been fucking hilarious. Y'all been going in, man. There's something funny every day. At least once a day, I see some funny shit.
All right. So let's get the Rockfin.
Meadows literally sent us a chat earlier on Rockfin. He's like, hey guys, just so you know, I'm about to ask a lot of questions. Be ready.
All right. So here's from Roger Meadows, good friend of the show. Roger Meadows tipped $2 on the Rockfin platform. First question to Niko. I often get on Hardlens Media about reminding them that anything you want to see done federally, we can do at the state level. Florida, like Illinois, are states that allow you to go to the federal and state government and do it yourself via citizen ballot initiatives. I believe the pathway towards every... let's kind of scroll back up there so I can read that properly.
I think you should have to turn off the auto scrolling.
We want is through the states. Why not? Like I remind Kit and Daniel to get together with other Florida YouTubers. Talking about state initiatives.
Boom! We're together with a Florida YouTuber. Check and done.
All right.
Well, actually, we do a lot of. We push ballot initiatives a lot. Like that's kind of like what we do. I feel like we were like one of some of the first. My biggest complaint with the Greens Party is that they don't introduce enough ballot initiatives. Right. I guess a whole criticism that I've had. It's a long story, but basically I got a lot of heat from the Green Party because I was trying to understand how they were behaving any differently, like what strides they made with like using the momentum that Jill Stein created into creating ballot initiatives to make the Green Party more viable by the time the federal election got there.
Oh, so you had the same situation too?
We had so in Illinois, my takeaway with the Green Party, at least the Illinois Green Party, because I know they're all different in their own way, is they're so worried about being taken over, their response is just to not do anything or invite any new people.
Man,
in.
that's scary, man.
Yeah.
That's actually scary.
And a little twist, in 2010, the Illinois Green Party was almost recognized as a legitimate party here in our state, and then they dropped the ball.
And then even the people that when we were back in the field years ago that we used to cover that were Green Party have all left and flipped over to Democrats. Basically, like, I can't do anything in the Green Party. I don't get any support. Nothing happens. No one gets back to me. I remember it's like they were the hardest people to ever get a hold of. When it's like, hey, Green Party, we're one of the only people that'll try and interview you. Can you please get back to us 1 month later? We're doing stuff.
Libertarians got back to us faster.
You know how I feel. Well, I don't know if you know how I feel about it, but I basically feel that a lot of the Green Party has been infiltrated by neoliberals in the same way that a lot of libertarians feel that their party and at some of the highest levels have been infiltrated by neocons. Like, that's not the party of Ron Paul anymore. Just like I don't feel like the Green Party is the party of Jill Stein. Because Jill Stein would have wanted, like, if you had to ask her, like, at gunpoint who would be a better nominee, probably would have been Dario. But that's a conversation for a different day. But my point is, you see, the fear of infiltration is real. I mean, we just saw everybody on stage parrot every talking point that we've supported for the last 4 or 5 years. And that their point was to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. And that's a normal strategy in politics that people have to be wary of. But, you know, you can't just give up either. So it's nuanced and it's a struggle, but it's just another thing that we're going to have to conquer. And that just means we have to be a little bit more, we have to be more open, communicative, and organized. Because when you are all three of those things, then you are able to weed out the weak links. Either they appear as incompetent and it doesn't matter, you don't feel bad getting rid of them anyway, or they expose themselves eventually. And as we're seeing right now, a lot of people are exposing themselves, right? So just push them off to the side and keep on trucking. Because we're still here.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going anywhere. Now let's continue with the rest of these chats because Roger Meadow wanted to ask you another question. Roger Meadows tipped $2 on the Rockfin. Like Farron and Papatino, I hope I said that name, Jen Perlman, Bew, and you use your platforms in a coordinated call in arms effort to all Floridans that you will platform Floridan who wishes to push ballot initiatives like Medicare for All in regards to infrastructure and access to public takeover of all broadband and power made green, Florida Public Bank, perfect to fund infrastructure expansion of worker co-ops, continuing on, again from Roger Meadows, make public financing of elections the only way to finance campaigns and shut a revolving door from a decade to a lifetime.
They asked me would I interview that? Of course, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, point them in my direction. Y'all know my email, NikoForThePeople@gmail.com if you want to interview. Please do not DM me and expect for me to get that on time because I promise you, I'm not going to see it on time. My DM is really packed. So if you want to, like, the people, like, I know somebody really wants to interview because they will email me and it's going to be one of my only emails that day. I don't get a lot of emails, not from, like, for politics stuff. People give me, like, information, but not interview requests, even though I specifically say in my bio, for interview requests, here's my email.
All right. So Roger Meadows, maybe to reach out to you for more further questions. So Roger Meadows tipped $2. Again, second question. This past Monday, the annual Out of Reach project report put together by the National Low Income Housing Coalition and JP Morgan that says that minimum wages should be on a state-by-state basis and what it should be before more expensive jurisdictions of each state just came out with its new 2021 report. Regarding Florida, it says in Florida, the fair market rent for a second-bedroom apartment, or two-bedroom apartment, apologies for that, is $1,290. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, I keep telling y'all this, man. Why y'all little damn snowbirds keep moving to Florida, bro? It's amazing here.
I was going to say.
Beach and cheaper prices and no state taxes.
I was going to say, I get to move to a place that's going to be underwater in 20 years and pay so little money.
Better than being under snow in 2 months.
Oh, I love the snow.
Well, hey,
because
look,
the snow allows us to say that we can handle the snow. Like, FaZe has now gone through that process for a year now, and he's on board.
I can swim. I literally rescued somebody 2 weeks ago from a river. I can swim.
So he continues on. In order to afford this level of rent and utilities without paying more than 30% of income on housing, a household must earn $4,302 monthly or $51K annually, assuming a 40-hour work week, 52 weeks per year. This level of income translates into an hourly minimum wage of $24.82 per hour, but more expensive parts, Monroe County, $33.54 an hour. Miami Beach, Kendall, $29.83 per hour. Fort Lauderdale, $29 per hour. West Florida, Palm Beach, Boca, Raton, I hope I said that right, $28.23. Naples, Immokalee, Marco Island, I hope I said that right, $26.46 per hour. As of this new report, the only states that benefit a $15 minimum wage would be West Virginia and Arkansas. I wish Floridans would have seen the 2020-2019 report before passing $50 ballot initiative to start another one.
We're not Floridans. We're Floridians.
Floridians.
There's an I in there. Y'all Midwesterners, man. I'm telling you.
I'll tell you this.
Y'all Floridans drinking your pop.
Chance the Snapper is in Florida, and he's the alpha in that pen.
Yeah, our guy is the alpha in the Florida pen. So there we go. our guy did it.
By the way, you know why he was able to do that? He saw snow.
And also,
he what?
He saw snow.
He saw snow.
Makes you stronger.
Yeah, he didn't want to deal with it. And on top of that, too, he had some deep dish pizza. But
it makes you stronger because all you can do is sit in your house during polar vortex and lift weights. There's nothing
that sounds like an opinion.
That is an opinion.
That's very much an opinion. You know, hey, kid, remember when we were working during the polar vortex, like nothing was wrong, and we were like, this is fine?
Yeah.
I remember that,
I was in Vegas. I was stuck. So I was working, too. Maybe not the same kind of work, but I was definitely putting in some work, yes.
We got another comment from Roger Meadows, too. But, again, Niko, I am a New Yorker who has given up on anything that the federal government can do for us and is focusing on my state government. We have a lot of content creators located in different states, but outside of Jen Perlin and Harlan's media, they never tell us what's going on in their municipality or state government. I like to encourage all content creators to have a segment or a day for them to inform the rest of the country what's going on in their backyard. You all can call it a segment, This Is My Fellow State, or Local Peeps. I believe charity begins at home. It is important to get our own house in order before we change the world. Niko, in the Mofo house, Rockfin app doesn't hold as much characters as a website. I can't get 400 characters on the app like I can with the website.
Characters?
That
typing.
characters.
Yeah, typing.
That might be a yo phone type of problem. I don't have any problem with the characters in mine. You might have to update the app. In all seriousness, iPhone users, there's a major update that just came out that they didn't really alert anybody to, and a lot of apps aren't working correctly unless you update your phone. Okay. So just let everybody know. But I agree with that, and I do have to push back a little bit. I don't know if you've seen my team, but like Positive Fiorella and really Steven, like they were literally at the camps the other day reporting cops in LA kicking people off of Skid Row. That's California, something they focus on a lot. I will talk about Florida in general. I don't talk about Miami specifically. I just don't want y'all moving here, to be honest with you. If I talk too much about Miami, y'all running our rent up as it is. But if you want me to talk about Miami and how amazing it is, I can. But I do talk about Florida. I was, especially during COVID, I was actually the one who reported about the 25,000 false tests that were in Orlando that didn't make any national news, but it was a big deal here, and then it got censored. And so, but overall, I do agree that there should be a lot more focus on not only the national news, but local politics and state politics. I do feel like that is a way to better empower your viewers, or at least make them feel more empowered because they have a little bit more direct influence over it. I mean, we've seen policies in states that were passed, even though they didn't want, the powers that be may have not wanted them to be passed, but they were passed anyway. Like a lot of the times when Ron DeSantis does something stupid, he's pandering. But the truth is, when he does something good, he's also pandering. And so you got to take advantage of politicians' necessity to pander to get what they need and what they want. So I agree wholeheartedly. But you might have to go look for it, too, because the algorithm might be censoring people who do talk about things in their states.
So I was just going to ask, to go back to your earlier point, you were talking about how you're going to do a little segment on Miami and how great it is. Is the segment just going to be, hey, the water's a millimeter higher today than it was yesterday? Oh, man, it's higher tomorrow as well.
No, it's actually just going to be me walking around the beach with my shirt off drinking Miami Vices. I'm not going to lie to you guys.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like a Twitch IRL channel that you're about to make.
I like that. Sounds like some fun.
If I wanted a bunch of bots to watch me, I would just go like peep my face into Vouch's chat Like I like having real people engage with me, and Twitch doesn't really have enough of that. So,
do we have anything on Odyssey? I'm going to say no. Okay, so we don't.
There we go.
So I think it's only fair that we end this segment. I want to actually ask you a two-part question. Of course, one where people can follow you and support you guys, and I want our viewing audience to help out the Mikasu Casa Network by tweeting at YouTube creators, Team YouTube.
As you know, YouTube's so communicative that the best way to reach them is on another platform.
Which is pathetic. And Odyssey and Rockfin can get back to you like that. But, you know, I asked this question to Nick and Sabrina. Both of them were on our show, especially they're both with Fred Hampton Leftists. But, you know, it wasn't too long ago where, again, you were the only person, black man on YouTube, covering progressive politics, and it was you by yourself. There was maybe a few other people as well, but you were one of the few pioneers. And now we're seeing more people from different backgrounds stepping up. What do you want to say to those that are perhaps maybe sitting on the sidelines, maybe thinking about doing this? Because let's face it, having a show, going online, it takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there.
Doing this sort of work is incredibly amazing, but you're kicking yourself in the face every day. What
do you want to say? Because in my opinion, I think there should be more people, more citizen journalists. What do you want to say to those that are perhaps maybe thinking about it but might be afraid to do it?
Man, first of all, that was kind of heavy. That was heavy, Kate. I don't know why you just put me on that's a lot of responsibility to put on my shoulders right now. But
when you come on Heartland's Media,
when you say it like that, I'm
going to be put in a spot.
Hardest hitting questions.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. But in all seriousness, when you see what people like Sabby, Sabrina, and Glory, and Ali, and I mean, they're just Fiorella. There's so many brilliant minds. Franco, like the list goes on. I could go on for days. It's crazy because I couldn't do that before. And the unique perspective they bring to the table is something that people crave. They don't know they crave it, maybe, but when you sit down and you're speaking from a position and an experience that is very unique for you, that is something of value to the movement. And I'm going to be straight up. It's going to be harder for you. There is clearly a financial incentive of white progressives empowering themselves and each other, blacking us out, taking our issues, taking our plight, and monetizing it, and looking like the nice, altruistic white savior. Like, I'm going to be perfectly honest about that. It's very rare that you'll get like a Kit and a Heartlands or a Pasta where they are willing to bring anyone on who they consider to be an expert on any given issue or needs to be heard. That's not a normal thing. I just need, you're going to get blacked out in the beginning. You're going to struggle. You're going to have to work twice as hard, and you're going to have to get 1/4 of the credit. And that's just kind of how life is for us. But it is worth it because you will be great. If you want to do this and you want to do it for the right reasons, and I'm not speaking in these abstract, no, I've seen Fiorella do it. I've seen Franco do it. I've seen Glory. I've seen Sabby is exploding right now. FHL, shout out to Fred Hampton Leftists. They're all doing well. They've gotten interviews with Cornel West. They got interviews. I mean, I was with Sabby. They're doing well. And it's still taking them a while to get the credit they deserve, if I'm being honest. And that's going to happen. But you will get it. You will get the credit. You will do well, and you are needed. And if you need any help, you know where I'm at. And anybody who has ever reached out to me, and there's a lot of people that I never talk about it, but people reach out to me. People reach out to Fiorella or Glory, and we help them, and because we know we've been there, and I feel like Heartlands is kind of like a distant cousin over there in Kodak, Chicago, but we kind of came up at the same time, and they saw a lot of how we got treated, and I saw they were getting treated differently for different reasons, mostly because they were doing local politics and they were kind of competition because they were their own little network too. But they've seen where we've started too, and they know where we've ended up. And listen, not for nothing, but one day you could end up advising presidential candidates if you take that plunge. Because when I got held back in the 7th grade because of my circumstances and environment, if you'd have told me that Niko would have ended up where he's at now, and having a network that damn near looks like the United Nations, I would have never believed it. But you gotta take the plunge first and know that there are going to be people here to help you swim.
All right, I think that's a good note to end it on. And then finally, where can people go online on social media to find you, find Mikasu Casa, so that way, again, we can get the word out to Team YouTube to remonetize the entire Mikasu Casa network.
So on YouTube, it's MCSC Network with Niko House. You can also find me on Rockfin, obviously, rokfin.com/Niko. You can, by the way, share all the free content outside of Rockfin now, and you can view it like a YouTube or Odyssey link for those of you who are curious. That's something that changed 2-3 days ago. You can also find me on Twitter at NikoCSFB. And you can follow me on Instagram too, at Jimmy, like regular Jimmy, Hen, Hen, Drip, DRIP. It is an ironic play on words that my brother gave me that actually everybody ended up liking, so I kept the name. So there you go, Jimmy Hendrix. Yes, I know it sounds like Jimi Hendrix. That's the point. So.
All right, that's a fantastic note to end it on. To our viewing audience, let's help out the Mikasu Casa network because we need to support free speech. We need citizen journalists. And if you're afraid sitting on the sideline, I hope you rewind this clip and listen to Niko's words because you are needed. And I'm going to say it. We need everyone to step up for citizen journalists.
I appreciate you
All
guys.
right, thank you
really
so much for joining us, Niko House.
Keep killing it, guys. Keep killing it. Hey, this election, woo, the establishment got some problems because now the most popular voices are us. Isn't that beautiful? And
we're going to keep on winning. That's what's going to happen.
I can't wait.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be... Take care.